You're watching Two Guys Take on Real Estate, and today we're at a live foreclosure auction for this single family home right behind me. We're gonna bid on this property, and before we get to that, I wanna make sure you guys take this opportunity to like and subscribe to our channel, where you can learn how you could buy a house at half price. All right, so I'm gonna take some of the photos of the house. Now, this is really, really important because I'm sending this to the other guy from Two Guys Take on Real Estate, and he is evaluating the photos. And basically what we're doing right now is we're coming up with two things. We're coming up with a bidding strategy based on a couple of different factors. One is the ARV. So Matt right now is taking this address, taking my photos, and we're running comps. And we're looking for recent sales in the area of a property that's comparable to this. You don't want to compare the value of a recently sold mansion in the area to a smaller single family home. But we want to try to figure out what this home would be worth if it's all fixed up. And the next thing we want to do is figure out what we need to do to figure it out and get it all straightened out and nice and fixed up to reach those values. Now, just looking at the outside and taking these pictures and sending them to Matt, he's gonna see, well, there's not a ton of work that really is needed. And the tough part about doing this at foreclosure auctions that so many people don't understand is we're outside on the street. We don't get a guided tour. You don't get to do an inspection. You don't get to know what kind of heating system there is or if there even is one. In fact, you don't even know if there's people living there or not when you go to an auction. So we do a lot of guesstimating, and some of that comes with experience. That's why it's so important that we share our experience with you on our channel. Make sure to subscribe, and in our book, make sure to buy 2 copies of Foreclosures Unlocked. What we're gonna be doing from here is running those numbers together. We're gonna take the ARV, we're gonna back out what we come up with as a rehab, a plan, or an estimate, and then we're going to start factoring in a few other things. Some of those things are due diligence numbers. So those are gonna be numbers we came up with of liens or anything else you'll get stuck paying off after the auction. And those can be things like unpaid taxes. Remember, if they haven't been paying their mortgage for years and they finally got foreclosed on, there's a really good chance that they owe the city something too. So maybe there's taxes, maybe they haven't been keeping up the property, maybe the house you're looking to buy has a ton of municipal violations like overgrown lawns or unregistered vehicle citations at the property, whatever it might be. You're gonna get stuck paying those things. So if you go out to a property and you bid $100,000, you might find out that when it comes time to close, there's another $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in fees, unpaid water, sewer bills, you name it, stacked up that you are responsible for paying. So it could really blow your deal out of the water. Make sure you figure those things out first. As you can see, the auction's getting really, really close to kicking off, and we're expecting the bidding to start in about 15 to 20 minutes. And I'm kind of excited about this because so far, I'm literally the only bidder here. That's actually really, really cool. I'm pretty excited, but it's important to not get super emotional about the bidding process. Remember, you got to figure out what your numbers are going to be, and then you stick to them. And that's one of the big things we teach about in our book, is to make sure you have a maximum bid number and you don't get caught up in the excitement and the thrill of bidding, and push that number past where it makes financial sense. Now, one of the great things is I'm here so far by myself, but I am prepared if other bidders show up to fully tell them that the house is haunted, that I totally saw a ghost running across the yard, you name it, I will come up. No, I'm just kidding. Please don't do that. But if some of our followers do end up showing up at one of our biddings, always make sure at one of these auctions to say hello to us. We love meeting some of our followers here. If you're a brand new follower and you just subscribed, this is a great time for you to learn about how you could get this house right here at a clearance deal. So many people come to our channel and tell us that they are worried that they're never going to be able to afford a house, that they're going to have to pay above asking price, pay above appraisal value for a home. And we're showing you step by step how you can actually acquire something below appraised value and for maybe a fraction of its actual worth. Stay tuned. Let's see how this bidding ends up working out. So one of the things you might have noticed as we were looking at the house and talking about running numbers is there's some cars in the driveway. Now, this house looks really kept up. It's in great shape. Obviously, the vehicles in the driveway are in good running working order. And although I haven't physically seen somebody, my experience tells me that this is an occupied property all day long. Now, it's a single family home. This isn't exactly a rental neighborhood or anything like that. So I'm gonna make some assumptions here based on my experience that this is occupied by the, well, current owner, soon to be former owner. Now, when you're considering bidding on a property that's occupied, or you believe to be occupied. You're going to run down a couple of paths. It could be a tenant, it could be a former owner, it could be just a regular, actual, complete squatter that broke in last week. You don't necessarily know, but you got to kind of, again, use some experience or use our experience and figure out really where you stand in the process here. Now, if you take over this property and you bid on this and you win, those occupants become your occupants. I've literally seen auctions happen where a winning bidder turned around and asked the auctioneer afterwards, when do they move out? And that could not be further broken from reality. I mean, I was shocked that they didn't understand that that's not something that the bank or the auctioneer is responsible for. In fact, the bidder, the buyer, is responsible for that. So if you're interested in buying a house and going to an auction and bidding on something and it's clearly occupied, remember to factor that in. You're going to be maybe stuck dealing with it if the occupants don't do the right thing and leave once it's no longer their property. Now, I can tell you that does happen sometimes. People wait right up until the bank sells the house at auction, and then they execute plan B. They move to wherever they were going to move to. They knew this day was coming, and they move along. That just doesn't always happen, and a lot of times you're now stuck knocking on the door, introducing yourself as, hey, I'm the new owner, and asking them what their plan is. That can be very time consuming. It can be very problematic. They could fight tooth and nail. You might have to go through an eviction process, which nobody wants to do. I mean, I would hate having to do something like that. And unfortunately, that is sometimes the situation an occupant could put you in. So when you're coming up with your bidding number, you should be factoring in that possibility. I would definitely think a vacant property would elicit a higher bidding number than an occupied one. If it's occupied, you should definitely be budgeting in some kind of budget. I would say several $1,000s to resolve the fact that it's occupied. And the good thing for you as a potential bidder and somebody that's interested in buying their next property from foreclosure is if the property's occupied, there's a good chance a lot of people won't bid at all. They don't want to touch it. So if you are comfortable or feel like you're comfortable or you've budgeted enough money, maybe you could pay the people inside to move out and do the right thing and leave the property now that they don't own it. You could come out with a win and an advantage over your competition. I don't know, but it's something I want you guys to think about and learn as you watch our channel, read our book, and as you follow up this auction here. We'll give you some updates if we win this property about what happens next. But in the meantime, we're getting darn close to the bidding. I'm starting to get excited. So far, we're still the only bidder.
55 grand going in and doing sprucing the place up and getting the people out. And
all right, so I talked to my team. We went back and forth over the phone. We went poring over pictures. They requested more pictures. We came up with a bidding number, and that's the important thing. Have a number, and then the second most important thing, stick to that number. So as we were doing all this, a lot of cars have been pulling up. Some familiar faces are here. So there's a number of people who are like us, buying as an investor, not buying to live in, move into the property. So their bids are probably going to be in the same kind of range our bid ended up at. There look like there may be a couple of people here, I think possibly, that are bidding to buy the home for like their family or maybe somebody in their family. Those folks, the end buyers, home buyers, are always going to pay way more than an investor ever would. So the investors here would only be driving up prices for each other, but a home buyer is always going to have a way higher bidding strategy and bidding number than a home investor would. My guess is I'm pretty pessimistic that we're going to take this one because there's just so much competition here. But we're here. We're going to give it a shot. Looks like the auctioneer just started doing the legal reading. Let's jump in. We'll cut to the next scene as the bidding actually starts getting fired up. And keep your fingers crossed for us. And if we do get this, we will be following up with videos about how the process went, what the next steps are, and right through until we actually finish with this property.
And that being said, I bid how many dollars? How about 300 to start it? 300,000. Any interest? 300,000. No interest? 300, 300, 300, 300,000 I have. 325 is going to make it now. 325 is the next bidder is going to give me 325 now. If I have 300, I need 325. 325, 325, 325. I have now 350. 350 is the next bidder is going to be 350,000. 350, yes or no? I got 350. I got now 375. 375, yes or no? 375. I got 350. 375. 375. 375. 375. 375 I got, now 400. 400 will buy the property, 400,000. Take 380. 385. 390. 395. 395. 395. 400 I got. Now 405. 405 is the next bid. It's going to be 405 now. I got 400. I need 405. 405. 405. 405. One more shot. You got it? Yes or no, boys? Yes or no? 405. 405 I got. Now 410. 410. 410. I got 405. I need $410,000. 410. 410. You want to say 407? I'll take 407. 407. I'll give you the same opportunity to come back at 408. 408. 408.
410.
410's even better. 411. 411. 411,000. I got 410. I need 411,000. Any advances on 410,000? 410 going once. 410 going twice. 411. Sorry, boys. 412. Don't lose it for $1,000. 412. 412. 412. 412. 412. I got. Now it's 413. 413. Yes or no? I have 412. I'm trying. I need 413. You guys are making me work hard today. 413. Yes or no? 413. 412 going once. 412 going twice. Final call. Property is sold for $412,000. I thank you all for spending this option. Please keep an eye on our website for upcoming sales.
Wow, okay, that house went for all the money. I honestly don't know exactly why somebody would have bid that much for the property. So the idea of going to a foreclosure auction is you're buying something at a discounted price, and they're getting this house at getting close to retail price points. So our bid was, our bid that we figured out to be, was gonna be way below what the opening bid was here at the auction. So we were never really in contention, unfortunately, on this one, and I noticed that with a couple of the other bidders here. However, there was obviously some spirited bidding back and forth. So that leads me to believe a couple of things. They probably had a little bit of inside knowledge and had planned this one out for a little bit. My guess is they knew everything about the house. They probably have been working with the home owners or former homeowners and have a plan in place for them, know exactly that the owners are going to walk away from the property or leave it. They probably already have potentially a buyer ready that's looking, that's able to buy it at a slightly higher price. So my guess is it's going to be a skinny deal for them, but one where they've already connected all the important dots. And if that's so, that's awesome. And more people should be doing that kind of thing. Unfortunately, we don't have the time and the ability to get that in depth at every single auction that we're going to go to. But that is a great strategy if you're not going to go to a ton of auctions or buy very many properties, that you could try to do as well, which is to try to connect all the important dots. That will allow you to have a much higher bid number. Remember, we talked about factoring in for occupants and having that lower your bid. That's a great example of where you can outsmart the competition and be able to bid at a higher price with confidence if you've already figured that aspect out. Thanks, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you want to see more auctions and you want to learn from a couple of guys who wrote the book on how to buy properties at foreclosure auctions, you got to come back. So make sure you subscribe here. In the meantime, while you're waiting for our next video to drop, you read the copy of our book, Foreclosures Unlocked, that you bought from us on Amazon. Thanks, guys.